All right. It is 12:23 p.m. on Thursday, August 2nd, 2018. All right, I decided to make this video on the red tide and the effects it's having on Florida right now. Yesterday I made a video of the algal bloom on the Baltic Sea area. Alright, I was looking up what causes the red tide phenomenon. Red tide is a phenomenon caused by algal blooms, during which algae become so numerous that they discolor coastal waters, hence the name red tide. The algal bloom may also deplete oxygen in the waters and or release toxins that may cause illness in humans and other animals. Is it safe to go in the water with red tide? Most people can swim in red tide, but it can cause skin irritation and burning eyes. If your skin is easily irritated, avoid red tide water. If you experience irritation, get out and thoroughly wash off with fresh water. Swimming near dead fish is not recommended. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend swimming near any of these red tides, or if you see dead fish in the water, stay away out of there, because there's also people having reported and going to the hospital because of infections that they get if they have cuts in their skin and the water gets in, and then they have flesh-eating bacteria. So it's very harmful to be in this type of water with algal blooms, and it can cause infections and possibly even death. Okay, the same harmful toxins that cause respiratory irritation in humans can also cause mortalities in various marine organisms. In addition to killing many fish and contaminating shellfish, uh, blooms can kill marine animals, including dolphins and endangered manatees. Okay. The longest red tide bloom in over a decade kills hundreds of marine animals along Florida's west coast. This is really sad that so many animals are dying from this. The ongoing toxic algal bloom is considered to be the longest red tide outbreak in the Gulf of Mexico in over a decade, and officials say it will most likely last until 2019. High concentrations of toxic algae known as blooms have affected at least 120 miles of the peninsula's Gulf of Mexico coast since November 2017. Officials say nearly 300 sea turtles have died because of toxic bloom. Pelicans, manatees, and whale sharks have also washed ashore since this unprecedented bloom started. Here you can see a couple of manatees. This is so sad. A couple of manatees passing away from the algal bloom, the red tide. That is really sad. Dead manatees in Cape Coral, Florida. That's the image. Not only does red tide affect marine life, but it also poses health risks to beachgoers along the west coast of Florida. Red tide blooms produce toxic chemicals that can affect both marine organisms and humans. The Florida red tide organism, known as Key brevis, produces brevetoxins that can affect the central nervous system of fish and other vertebrates, causing these animals to die. Wave action can break open Key brevis cells and release these toxins into the air, leading to respiratory irritation. For people with severe chronic respiratory conditions such as emphysema or asthma, red tide can cause serious illness. Yeah, also the breathing in of the toxicity of it in the air can affect people, and I think that's why it's something that not only does it cause that, it also causes the smell from all the dead animals to like cause people to leave an area. Record red tide of toxic algae is killing wildlife in Florida. A toxic algae bloom sweeping Florida's southwest coast is being described as the worst in more than a decade. The so-called red tide blanketing beaches and dead fish and killing sharks, manatees, endangered sea turtles. The aggressive overgrowth, which occurs each year but intensifies with high temperatures, pollutions, and stagnant water, has become usually strong since emerging in October and has stretched in the longest outbreak since 2006, according to state wildlife officials. Yeah, the heat, the algal bloom from last year not really dissipating, it just accumulates. Just the intense heat would increase this, so it's something to keep an eye out since it's so hot lately. Red tide affecting tourism and business on the Sun Coast. Sarasota, Florida, a lingering red tide bloom continues to have an impact on sea life and beachgoers along the Sun Coast, and a toxic algae is also affecting some areas and businesses as well. The beaches are deserted and restaurants on the waterfront are empty, all because of the red tide. When we passed by everyone, we heard everybody coughing. My kids started coughing. Also, there are dead fish along the beach, so we were only able to stay for about half an hour at best, said Marianne Callahan, a tourist from New Jersey. So it is affecting the tourist industry. To be 100% honest, when we went to Florida for vacation, me and my family, we were going into a river, which was a spring in the middle of Florida. So we knew ahead of time, because before coming down to Florida, we were like, yeah, let's check out the news and things, and we saw that there were sea lice on beaches. We saw that there were algae blooms and infections of people having flesh-eating bacteria. So we kind of knew that going to the river would be the safest bet, and it really was. We went to Wekiva Springs. We had a great time, but we try to stay away from the beaches. And the thing that affects the tourism and business in Florida is because Florida is surrounded by ocean and it's mostly beaches, and that's the business. That's, bringing tourists to hang out at the beaches, eat at the restaurants, and, that's the majority of the business, apart from Disney World and Universal and all these things. So the red tide affecting kind of is a big deal, and the health of the people is important. Also because of the sand fleas, the possibility of man-eating bacteria, and the algae bloom is it's really bad if it continues to increase. And from the increase of the heat, it doesn't look like it's going to be much better. I just wanted to report on that and share in this video. Hope you guys stay safe out there if you live in Florida. Yeah, try to stay away from the beaches if you hear on the news that these things are happening close to your area. Alright, stay safe, guys.